Hello, friends and family. It's David once again live from Granada for week 28. So, I'm sorry about my rather long absence. I think it's been a good couple of weeks since I've gotten in touch. I've been at this conference in Venice, which I'll talk a bit more about. But first, I wanted to bring you all up onto the things that are happening in my life. So, I've spent the past few days just kind of resting, laying low, since conference did take a lot out of me. The good news is I spoke a ton of Spanish, which is good. My presentation went well. I didn't get a lot of feedback one way or the other, although a few people did recommend some sources, which was good. But I got back to my apartment and found out that we had ants, so I just prayed for them. It's one of the many quirks that I think I've never talked about. I like this apartment. I only pay something like 200 euros a month, which I'm told is expensive, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than I was paying in Chicago. So ants, one charm. Another charm is there's a massive mildew on the ceiling in the bathroom, and I've since found out that that was actually structural. When I sprayed some bleach on it, the ceiling started to um, disintegrate. And actually, the paint is still peeling in there, so there you go, structural mildew. So, plans for the immediate future. I'm going to Cadiz to visit Maria and her family for a little bit. That was probably just her sending me a text message now about that. Then I'm going to come back and get to work. The past few days have been good, resting, playing computer games, watching things, sleeping a ton. But I think, it's time for me to make a good use of the remaining month and a half that I have left here. So, conference was good, made better enemies and dear friends, as happens at any good conference. I'm just kidding about the better enemies part. I only have to theoretically present 3 more papers, and hopefully, as a result of this one, I'll be able to get it published in the Octus, in the sort of record for the conference, which, from what I understand, is a bit more discriminating. Not as much as publishing it in a journal, but I think all the same, it'll be a good start. Theoretically, I should just present 3 more conference papers and publish one and a half times more if I get into the Octus here, and I'll be set for the career beyond, of course, writing the dissertation and taking the oral exams and teaching and all those other things, which make presenting at conferences seem a bit small in comparison. But c'est la vie. I got a new haircut. I don't know if I liked it. The guy only charged me 9.5 euros, which isn't too bad. But then he wanted to like put hairspray in my hair and like spike it up so that he said that it would minimize the hair loss that I have kind of going on here. And it's fine. It's just that I haven't met a barber here in, I guess, in Spain that isn't an artist and doesn't won't just kind of like go off and do their own thing and then at the end say, "Do you like it?" So whatever. The hairspray will wash out if need be. And at the end of the day, I still have my hair shorter than it was before. So happy about that. It's just weird. I've never worn like it's spiked up in the front, which I've never ever done. That is completely not me as a person, even though admittedly it doesn't look bad. It just kind of conveys an image of not me. So, conference was in Venice, spent a solid week in Venice, which went well. Before that, I was in Paris, which is just a phenomenal city. It unfortunately rained for the 2 or 3 days that I was there. And something else I wanted to say is that really 3 days is not enough for Paris. I started saying I'm going to see everything in the city, and soon cut myself back to saying I'm going to see everything that's medieval in this city. And at the end of the day, I just kind of checked in as many places as I can, kind of rushed through a few museums, but it was great. It's a big city, very impressive. It just has these really sprawling boulevards and huge sidewalks everywhere, and just every building is really charming. They did a really good job of sort of unifying the architecture, I think. The Eiffel Tower, much more impressive than anything I'd ever seen. I guess I thought that it would be like, shoot, probably a quarter of the height that it actually was, but it's like phenomenal. It's really, really big. I guess that's what happens when you only see it in like, little um, metal models or wherever I've seen it. The food was really, really good, though it wasn't stellar everywhere I went. There was definitely a correlation between if you pay more, say $30 for a plate at a Chinese restaurant, which was actually, I think, just beef and rice. But if you had that beef, you'd understand why they charged me so much money for it. I think it was actually closer to 30 euros, or I don't even know what. But it just like melted in your mouth. I'm beef, just melted in your mouth. It was the best Chinese food I've ever had. I guess outside of Taiwan, but it was definitely gourmet quality, if you were. The eclairs also were really, really good. They tasted a lot like the ones that I've had in the U.S., but they just put so much cream inside of them. Like it's yay much bread and this much cream. It just boggles the mind. It's also nice because if you are on a budget, as I tried to be for the most part, you can buy these crepes on the street that they'll make for you. I think, I don't know, it was only like $5 or $6, and they'll put whatever you want. Nutella, lemon and sugar. What I often did because I needed like the energy to keep on going was ask for sausage and ham and cheese and a couple of eggs, and they made it right there in front of you, and it's really, really good stuff. I kind of missed that already. Sorry, I'm probably talking a bit fast, but that's because I just have a lot of things that I want to say. So, long and the short of it is, there's way too much history, way too much medieval history for the mere 3 or 4 days that I spent there. And if I have the chance, I would like to go back, see a few more things in greater detail. I went to the Louvre, and I think in 4 hours I made it through like a 16th of the collection. It was really heartbreaking because I got through all the sculptures, and some of you who follow me on Facebook already know this. I got through all the sculptures and entered this room of all this wonderful medieval art with those little Flemish miniature type things, or the ones from the Netherlands where they have really, really small details. They have these really, really busy, intense, filled portraits. So I'm saying a lot too. So I promised myself at that point I'd come back to the Louvre. Didn't make it back because I went to a lot of other places, which you'll see in the photos that I'm sounding along with this. Unfortunately, it's like 120 photos, so look through them really quickly or not at all. It's okay. But would love to go back to Paris, in short. Venice, which is where most of the conference was, and I was kind of limited. I did manage to get out with some friends that I made there to see the city a couple of times during the conference itself, but really tried to take advantage a bit more on Sunday. Saturday, I saw a few things, but at that point, just with all the socializing and traveling and the heat and the humidity, I just kind of needed to take it easy for a day, which I pretty well did. So very hot and more so humid. It's got rivers and canals all over it, so you can imagine that it's about as humid as you can get. It really made me think a lot of, and forgive the reference if you've read it and if you found it to be a very offensive piece of work, but Thomas Mann's Death in Venice. Just he really captures a lot of the strange hallucination like feverish intensity of it. It's tough to say. I think it's just something with the weather, the constant sun. I don't know what. It was a bit less romantic than one could imagine because most people get around in motorboats. Though I did see a few couple of old-fashioned gondola riders exploiting tourists, I'm sure, as well as a couple of people just kind of rowing through the canals on their own. And just really, really impressive city. You can see a lot of the Orthodox influence in some of the churches. It's pretty touristy, and there are some places where it's almost suffocating in terms of the tourism. That would be the same thing with Paris too. Like maybe it's just because I am going in high season, but you definitely want to have a way to get away from tourists at some point. And the nice thing about it is where I was staying in Venice was it was pretty easy. I just crossed a couple of bridges, maybe 15, 20-minute walk, and I was able to get into a less touristy region. But just again, really, really beautiful city. I'd like to go there when I'm not combating as much the sun and the humidity, but it was really, really good. It's just cool to smell the ocean everywhere and to just see the water so much, I guess. It made me miss Lake Michigan, I guess, in some ways. Oh, and what was really cool, sorry, reading through my notes. The last day, I made a tour of all of the outlying islands and saw some really, really cool cities there. I guess in Murano, I think Murano. They specialize in making glass, and then Murano. I don't know what it is, but it's just very charming. They paint all their houses in like the most outrageous colors you can imagine. Like sure, dark blue or dark red or whatever, but also like pink or lime green. Anyway, you can see the pictures, and that'll explain things a lot better. And just wanted to check the list. Huge monumental paintings in palaces and other government buildings. It's just over the top how ornate everything is. It doesn't have the huge, tremendous, impressive architecture of other cities. The architecture in itself is like charming and wonderful and um, I don't know, just really cool. Unlike other things that I've seen, so that was cool. But it's really the insides, just monumental wall-sized oil paintings or these mosaics that are pretty much cover up the entire church, like the walls, the ceilings, everything. So that was really cool. I found a nice little Italian place pretty close to the conference that a couple of Italians assured me was the true, authentic Italian experience. So that was good. And the last night that I was there, it was the Festa di Redentore, which apparently traces back to a celebration of the end of a plague, I guess, back in 1500s. They have a couple of annual festivals, and they both have to deal with plagues, which is interesting, I guess, with so much water, also so much commerce between Europe and the rest of the, I guess, the rest of the the eastern half of Eurasia. It'd be natural that there'd be a lot of disease. But it was cool, really good fireworks, and it was nice to see them because I didn't get a chance to for the 4th of July. So amazingly enough, all of that only took 12 minutes. And the other thing that I wanted to say that was kind of cool is I got a ride home through BlaBlaCar, which is this really cool website I'll have to tell you about. If I haven't told you already, I feel like at some point in these things I kind of talk in circles a little bit. But anyway, that's another speech for another video, I'm sure. But I got to ride home in a semi, and the driver assured me that it was the biggest semis that they allowed in Spain. I don't know if it was a 16 wheeler per se, but it sure as heck had at least 10. And it was cool. Just, I've never been in a semi before, so I didn't even know to make it. The downside was that it smelled a bit like pigs because the guy, for his job, brought pigs to and from, well, brought pigs to Murcia from, I don't know, somewhere west, no, sorry, east of Malaga. But the view was really, really incredible. It had air conditioning in the view. Sorry, I went through, said that faster than I intended to. It's just you're like 10 feet up above everyone, so you don't see the trees, you don't see the cars, you just see the landscape in and of itself. It was really, really cool. I think I was just kind of gushing the whole time. So that was kind of like the reappearance of 5-year-old David, who's just really, really thrilled at any big machine. So it was cool. I didn't have that on any sort of bucket list per se, but I'm going to add it on expressly for the purpose of being able to cross it off now. So that has been the past 2 weeks. Very, very frantic in a nutshell. Life is good. Looking forward to a bit of time off at the beach. Hopefully going to go see a movie since it's been a very long time since I've been in a theater. And it's one of those things I kind of miss as I think about it. I miss family. I miss dogs. But I also miss working on the property in Muskego. And I miss from time to time getting out of the heat to the air conditioning in the theater, either at the Ridge or oh gosh, what was the Showtime? I guess just kind of the theater experience and home in and of itself. I'm still shooting for coming home around September 5th. Plans to, I mean, I don't really have, it's up to me to determine when I come home. So I can say with a good deal of security that yes, it'll be September 15th, give or take. Spend a week at home, then get myself settled in Chicago. Still have to find a place to rent. Although if you're watching this and if you want to be my roommate, hey, And I'm still thinking about it, but I might take the long way home and visit a friend in Korea as well as my friend Josh in Taiwan, and maybe try to spend a week that way. Thinking about it, it is, believe it or not, more economical this way. I would never be able to. Flying to and from Korea would be absurdly expensive, as would flying to and from Taiwan. So, kind of getting it on my way home really isn't too much more, well, it is a lot more expensive than just flying directly back to Milwaukee. But if I look at it as a cheaper way to see Korea and a cheaper way to visit Taiwan again, and shoot, maybe even Thailand. I have a friend there, um, conversation partner that is living in Thailand, and despite the coup, I might try and get in touch with him, see if he'd be able to show me around for a bit. So there is all of that. Please continue to keep me in my prayers. I really do plan to get the nose back to the grindstone after kind of taking half this week off and enjoying some time in Cali. And just with for continued direction with that would be great. For direction with any other decisions that I could find a real nice place to sublet in Hyde Park because I really, really don't want to move all my furniture down there again. And I think that's pretty much it. So I miss and love all of you. Praying for you all. Please pray for me too. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.